Hey guys, Mike here. So, oh boy, what a good day to look at your portfolio because the market went crazy green after a certain jobs report was released. And I'm going to go into that. It has to do with what I told you, those two things. What was it? The two things I said watch closely, that if they both go down together, it is jet fuel for tech and especially really high beta stuff, okay? Also, China threw some more fuel in the fire with something they did, which is something we were supposed to do in '08 when we bailed out our banks, but of course we did not do that. And so it shows you how desperate they are. But I'll also show you, just how rough the numbers are when it comes to the real estate market. Also, we'll go into the chart, especially the Tesla chart, which worked out pretty well. But I'm gonna get into this for you and show you this if you didn't see it today, if you were at work and stuff. And what happened was, you can see, I'm gonna go off the Discord because it makes it easier for me to record this, that Nick Tamros, who's also known as Nicky Leaks, is the one that I always watch because he supposedly gets allegedly stuff fed to him from the Fed and everything, so you can report it early. But he said, a JOLTS job report came out that the Fed will actually like. And what we're talking about here is the U.S. job vacancies fell to 8.8 million in July, the lowest level since March of 2021. There were 1.51 job openings for every unemployed worker in July, the lowest such rate since September 2021. Also, the JOLTS job quits fell to 2.3%, lowest since January of 2021, as you can see right there. And this is what the Fed has been trying to get down here. And you can see the reason why the smart money liked it was because the 10-year Treasury fell off a cliff. Boom, right when that report hit. And then what the dollar do. And these are the two things you got to watch. If these move up or down very quickly, down means jet fuel, up means really bad for the market, especially tech. Okay, and they both fell off a cliff. And what else happened? Again, going back to the Discord we have here, showing the members, you pull this up at the meetings now, you're looking at for September, all of a sudden, wow, 87% chance they don't raise, this number dropped. Well, then you go into November, that's the more important one. And in November, you can see this one was actually a higher percentage, it was over 50% they were going to raise. Well, now it's 43%. Now we're at 52%. They're actually going to basically pause. And so remember, I told you to watch out for, when does bad news for the economy become bad news for the stock market? Well, we are not there, right? Because obviously less jobs out there. That supposedly is really in the camp of the soft landing deal, but more importantly is the pause, right? We're still in this. Are they gonna pause? Are they not gonna pause? Ooh, they pause. That's great, right? Because they're looking down the road, supposedly. Wink, wink. And so the market, how many times it rallied on that? Oh, they're pausing now, right? And so that's what this was all about today. If you saw it, again, that's why when you look at something like today, when you got the indexes that's so high up, some stocks are up 8 to 10%, some are up 20%. When you see that, that's shorts covering, right? Getting burned for sure, right? But you just got to figure out, okay, is this going to continue for a few weeks, a couple months, or just short-lived? That will definitely get to find out tomorrow if we see a pullback or not. But remember, we got a lot more data coming out, which I'm going to show you at the end of this one. But that leads us into China. And what did China do? Bam, look at this right here. This announcement says China is posed to cut interest rates on trillions of won of outstanding home mortgages for the first time since the global financial crisis. And did the stocks of China like that? Absolutely, they liked it. So, of course, they all went up, except for NEO, who reported horrible earnings. But it actually recovered because it was down 10% this morning at opening and ended up coming back 8%. So that kind of lets you know, yes, they enjoy it. Because, again, liquidity is everything. And this is a form of liquidity. They cut people's mortgage rates that they actually have right now. They're paying less, which means they get to go out and spend it on something else, right? Or get to go buy stocks. That's all the stuff they did the other day. Wasn't even for the economy, right? It's for the stock market that they did that for. Really, traders probably enjoy it more than anybody else, but that's what they did. Anything to bring money in to the economy and to the stock market, that's what they're trying to do. Now, just because we cover everything on this channel here, and I don't try to, sell rainbows and unicorns to anybody, I found this gentleman who actually was kind of an expert on '08, the financial crisis we went through. And more importantly, he was ringing the bell before it ever happened. Just nobody wanted to listen to him. And listen to these numbers. They're staggering numbers. They really are staggering numbers about China's real estate market and how bad off it really is over there.
I think it's central to their financial problems. They allowed riverboat gambling to happen in the real estate markets, and they allowed it to go unregulated for a long period of time, in which tier one cities prices in real estate of the median home got to north of 30 times median income. At our subprime peak, we got to 6.5 times. So their real estate markets were multiples higher than ours, and their banking system is almost 4 times more levered than ours was going into the crisis. So China's woes are multiples worse than ours were going into 2008.
And guys, before we continue, if you're getting anything out of this, please hit that thumbs up down there. I really appreciate it. And if you like the material here and the videos, think about subscribing. And so if those numbers don't drop your mouth, just like the amount of assets, 53 trillion or whatever it was, their banks hold, which we're at 23 trillion, you just got to shake your head and go, woof, okay. And so hopefully they can dig their way out of it. Again, I don't root against them because I root against their government in a way, but I don't root against their people. So just keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to the charts, what happened and everything today, obviously you'll see some big moves, but some things we need to think about here. One, obviously huge move up. I'm looking to see how it handles. This is like a 4-hour supply right here, and see if it can get through this, or does it actually just come up to the top, get rejected, and sell back off. That's what I'm really looking at for on the S&P over the next couple of days here when I look at this. But obviously just a gigantic move up. Again, what are you starting to see form here? I mean, basically this is an uptrend, right? I mean, if we draw some lines here, let's get some fancy lines out for you. You know, that is an uptrend started since it looks like the 18th. And so the question is, does it bounce off that upper line and start coming back down? That's what we're going to have to see. When you also look at this in a different way, of course, you know, you look at the daily chart and you look back at the other rallies, and I saw this on Twitter, I forget who put this out, but you know, I look at this chart and I'm like, you know, it just cooled up and then it sprung, right? And so is this going to be another one of those? That's what we're going to have to find out. That's kind of what it looks like. But again, we had you know, bad news is good news for the market. The JOLTS job reports will really get us going, and all the China liquidity is being poured on top of it. But another way to look at this also is you go to the NASDAQ, right? And again, we talked this yesterday how the RSI was moving up. That they had the positive bullish MACD occur on the daily. And then now we're up against this trend line right here. Are we going to reject? Is this head and shoulders actually going to play out? Or is, like somebody said, and you tend to agree with this, everybody's expecting it, so it never plays out, right? So, but this is what you got to look at. You can still move up some, but the question is, does it get through that trend line, or do we actually reject? And then we go to IWM, you can see it's almost got that bullish MACD cross right there. The RSI is right at the 50 line. It'll be bullish if it gets over. If that cross happens. Again, needed to hold and move above that like 186-ish area, which it did. So now it moves up in this volume gap. And so we'll see if it continues to move, right? Again, as far as the economic environment, small caps, it's horrific, okay? As far as having to refinance and everything else, and I'll put that out to you tomorrow. Well, look, but it held that 100 and 200 line below it. It's got the 50 coming up where that volume gap is. And so we'll see if it's able to break through there or not. If we kind of scroll back, you can see where the 50, it's been support and resistance for it, right? It's rejected off of multiple times. On some other rally, rejected off right there, rejected off multiple times there, rejected off there. And so we'll see if we get a rejection or not on that one. And then we look at Tesla, like I told you guys, once it breaks that trend line right there, it's going to move fast towards the 260 area. I think it got the high of 258 today. I mean, again, massive, massive move. But that's just what we were looking for right there. I mean, trust me, I had a call. I was like ready to go with this thing, so it worked out well. We'll see how much more it can move tomorrow after a big move up today. Should start seeing consolidation for that tomorrow, the next day around 260, 262, somewhere in there. If this momentum continues, again, major, more economic news coming tomorrow. We'll see where this market goes. This proves it will pivot off anything. But right now, Tesla still looks good. Then you got Apple, the big dog, right? I mean, obviously, this is a huge green candle, one of the biggest we've seen in quite a while for this one. Again, a lot of news-driven stuff going on. And when you look at Apple right here, it does have room to move up to that 50 moving average right there. But what it was, they sent out an invite, September 12th, launch event for the new iPhone. This is usually always bullish for Apple unless we're in some kind of crazy recession or whatever it is. And so people, it usually pumps up till they actually launch this phone normally. And trust me, you've seen a lot of call buying because of this. Not guaranteed to happen again, but it's happened many, many times in the past. Now, you know it's a weird day when you see a Google chart like this. This is rare to see Google like this. It's always the one trailing behind. And when I record this, it was actually just behind NVDA and Tesla. It was ahead of all the rest of the mega caps. And why? Because they had AI news come out all over the place. Like GM's using their AI chatbots. They unveil AI tools for enterprise customers at $30 a month, which is the same as what Microsoft's charging. And so, boom, it goes up, sets a new 52-week high. again, the chart looks nice, right? I mean, it's above all its moving averages. All its moving averages are trending up right there. We do have a couple gaps below. And understand, this is the air is going to start to get thin because it's only about, I think, 10% away from an all-time high. And this has been trailing behind all the rest of them. I mean, think how much Meta's up and Netflix and all these stocks, and Google has not been that way, right? It's been trailing. And so we'll see if more money starts to rotate in it or not. Again, it is an AI play. Now, a lot of you guys asked me about Disney. That's why I'm going to cover this. Obviously, Disney's a hot mess. I mean, again, huge day up today, and this one was basically flat. Okay, basically did nothing. Still sitting in the zone. All the moving averages you can see are trending down on this, putting pressure on it. But the big reason is for this one, again, I know it's not a market of fundamentals right now, but it doesn't help when your chart looks terrible because you can see where it's at down in that zone right there, which a lot of people are accumulating there, and I don't blame them. That's fine. I get it. But understand, look at this right here. This is terrible. So they should be ashamed of themselves at Disney for doing this to shareholders. So Disney in 2004, its revenues of $30 billion. Look in 2023, they tripled their freaking revenue since 2023, so 20 years. But look what they did in net income, $2.25 billion in 2004. It's the same right now. Look what they did to margins. Margin was almost 3 times more in 2004 than they are right now. I mean, they are hemorrhaging money. Right, and of course all the other stuff, which I know people are going to put in the comments, they do with the movies and everything else, and being politically correct and stuff like that. That's a whole different ball game, but it has affected it, and it's just one of those things where it's definitely on my radar. But I just keep thinking to myself, man, parking money in this thing right now, and there's so many other stocks I can make money in. It's tough. I mean, a leap is definitely on my radar for sure. Okay, now earnings. Some more high beta stuff in the afternoon. You're going to have CrowdStrike, Okta, Salesforce, Chewy, economic data. Again, a whole bunch of mortgage data, but here we go with ADP employment change. Then you're going to have core PCE prices, and then GDP growth. This is going to be a big one. This is either going to tank the markets or run it up. Okay, so GDP growth right here. They're expecting a big bump from 2 to 2.4%. And so tomorrow will definitely make for interesting times for sure with all this data coming out and this big run up today. Let me know on the bottom what you think is going to happen tomorrow. We'll have really the big job data coming out on Friday, I believe it is. So just keep that in mind. But remember, also in month end, right? So sometimes you get that move up, and then coming into Labor Day, you usually get a move up too. So hope you guys got some out of it, guys. Hit that like and subscribe button if you did. Really appreciate it. I'll try to put a video out tomorrow, but I don't know if we got a hurricane hitting Florida at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. You can see the weather's actually starting to roll in now from the outer bands. And so we'll see how it goes. So anyway, hope you guys have a good one. Stay safe.